Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. Really, I think an alternate intro could be the first to ask questions at any party. When I meet new people, I love to get to know them. Very curious, makes me well suited for my job. I think I love to ask a good question, and I'm always genuinely interested in someone's answer. So that's the alternate secret intro there. But today, I will be talking about, I'll be on the opposite end, answering a listener question about friendship. Friendship is a beloved topic here. I have an entire playlist on YouTube dedicated to my episodes about friendships. And so if you want to hear more about this topic in particular, you can find it there. Most of the episodes I have with friendships also have that somewhere in the title, so you can just search it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever and find more of that. But today we are going on a particular journey to talk about the friendship spark and what happens when that fades and what that means for the friendship. Like, are we actually not really, are we growing apart, or are we not meant to be friends? What do we do about that? And I thought it was a really fun question. So if you want to ask me your own question, please reach out at theevergreenrx@gmail.com or text me or call me at 512-655-9888. And yeah, let's just go ahead and hop right in, open up the Evergreen Apothecary, and jump into the question. It says, Dear Evergreen, is it normal for friendships to lose that spark or what made it feel really special or exciting? How do you tell if it's just a phase or if you've actually grown apart? Love the question. Let's have more normalizing of friendships and how they can be complex and layered, and how friendships can mirror our attachment patterning and wounds, which I'll get more into, and how they can be a lot like romantic partnerships in a lot of ways. I am forever talking about how important and deep and complex friendships can be, that you're not weird for that you're not wrong for that. So initial just answer to the first question, if it's normal for friendships to lose that spark, yes. Right. It's embedded right there in the word spark. Sparks don't last forever. When you start a fire, you need an initial spark, and then that spark either dies out or turns into a hearty, healthy, roaring fire. But the spark itself is only for a period of time. It's not meant to last. That's not the whole fire. That's not, the whole enchilada. We want to build off of the spark. And so friendships are the same, like romantic relationships in that way. A lot of times we start the initial relationship because of that spark, because of that, beginning attraction and interest, compatibility, excitement, something that really gravitates us towards one person over another. There's just that indescribable quality of there's just something here that excites me or makes me want to pursue this relationship further, whether that be a friend or someone that we're dating. We kind of look for that initial spark most of the time. And so if we think about it in dating terms, it's like the honeymoon phase. Sometimes it's like that initial attraction / borderline obsession that we can get when we meet someone new that just fulfills something or embodies what we think we're looking for or what we want in a relationship. And eventually, once it cools, that allows us to see what is the real kind of meat and potatoes underneath that. Is there a real connection? What are we left with when the spark itself isn't the thing that's sustaining the relationship? Is there enough to build a solid foundation and connection on, or was it just infatuation? And I think that's the exact same question you can ask in a friendship, is like, what actually is left to work with? And I think that, with romantic partners, more often we'll find that people really do get together because of that spark that they are seeking. There's chemistry, there's fireworks, whatever, all these words that we use for it. Friendships, it's not always the case, like sometimes we just develop friends because of proximity or shared interests, or like we have mutuals. And so we're just around the person a lot, and so we get to kind of know them that way. But for those ones that are built off of a spark, most likely there is some level of our attachment patterning or wounding that is showing up in why we have that initial kind of fire with our friend. And I have a lot of episodes on attachment. I will link them below so I don't have to go too deep into the rabbit hole on that. But it is important to mention that sometimes what we're describing as chemistry and a spark is embedded, it's deeply connected to our attachment and to a deep desire or craving for another person that we might be getting from this friend. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, like not at all. It's not a bad thing, but it's something to be aware of. Like that can create more of this like this gravitational pull towards someone that we might not have with other friends that we just like knew through school or coworkers, like where we like them, we enjoy their company, but there isn't that same kind of intensity to it. And so what we can find is that, when things cool down or level out a bit, we can be left with a very different perspective or feeling about the relationship than what we initially had. When attachment gets roped into things and maybe some of our wounds are activated or some of like those deep desires, like I was saying, are being fulfilled, it's such a rush at first. It's like, it can be like a head rush, like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I wanted. And I feel so good. It can make us feel really good about ourselves as well. Because some of those younger parts, we could say, are like that inner child that maybe felt unchosen or unworthy or felt rejected by others, and has some rejection or abandonment wounds, whatever it could be. It's getting kind of like a temporary balm to that in the honeymoon phase. That's why it feels so intoxicating. And then, as it goes with all relationships, things habituate and come back down. We can find that like our perspective has really changed, because now more of our kind of whole being is online. Maybe some of those wounded parts do come back out, or it's just not that initial rush. And so we may find like, oh, I'm actually not as compatible with this person as I thought. Or, there's these things here that I don't really like that I didn't notice, or maybe weren't even showing up at first. Because just as with dating, when we're friends with someone, we're putting our best foot forward. There's this mask, that will persist for a while as we're getting to know someone. They won't see all of us. And that's not a matter of like faking or, being disingenuous. It's just what happens almost against our will. We have this kind of ability to put the best foot forward while we're getting to know someone. And ideally, as we become more comfortable or more trusting, that mask can fall away more and more, and they can just get to know us and see us for who we really are, and us to them. Like, that is what we want. And that's why we build trust and safety in relationships, so we can just be more and more of ourselves. But as that process happens, then things can start to take on a different light, and we might see, oh, wait, I thought that this person was one way and I'm seeing that they're not. Again, doesn't mean it's a bad thing and is not a sign to just go running for the hills. Like, I really do think this is unique with friendships because we can have like as many as we want. It can be easier to just say, I don't know. Let's just call it quits. And I think that that robs us of an opportunity for growth or for creating something really deep and meaningful with someone else. So the question is, what is left after the spark? Are we talking about, a fire that dies out? Or is there a little flame that's burning there? Is there something that feels really nice and meaningful about that friendship? Does the friendship have the values that you want in relationships? Is there respect, consideration, kindness, love, curiosity still? Are those things that really help us sustain a relationship still intact? Maybe there's not so much of a just electricity of wanting to hang out all of the time, but is there still a level of excitement or interest in seeing that person and from them seeing us? Are we getting an enthusiastic response to plans, even if they're not coming around as often? That's what I think when that idea of growing apart, well, is it growing apart or is it just kind of the system naturally rebalancing itself? We can kind of only go so hot and heavy with someone for so long, I think. If you really meet someone and you're fast friends, just like you want to hang out all the time, you've got so much in common, it just feels so fun to see them all the time. Every weekend, you're making plans. For most relationships and most people, that is just not going to be sustainable. And maybe because of the rate of hanging out, like maybe it just slows down. That doesn't necessarily mean you're growing apart. The system, the relationship system itself might just be finding an equilibrium. And, looking at like what brings you two together. Why is it that you're still friends? Can you articulate it? Could you name, like if somebody said like, oh, why are you and Sarah friends? Would you be able to say what is valuable and meaningful to you about Sarah as a person and about the relationship that the two of you have? And if it does go from a spark to, just a cool, dead fireplace, no flame in sight, that might not necessarily be a culprit of growing apart because probably there wasn't even enough time for that to really happen. But that can be more of a culprit of attachment patterning, like I was saying. There's something going on here, especially if that's a pattern in your life that you might want to look at and do a little bit more deeper digging on. How does that pattern show up in your life and how is it serving you, or what is the function there? And there might be some introspection or reflection to have, like, this, has happened a couple of times or it keeps happening in my friendships where, kind of what's left isn't much and I don't even really like this person, or we really don't have anything that sustains the connection. Where is that coming from then? Why was that spark so strong and then died so quickly? And are there things that you can do to nurture it? Can you put the effort in to build something that is stronger and more secure so that it can last you? It's also okay to grow apart too, because sometimes you grow apart and then you can grow back together, especially if there's no real dramatic reason. It's just, an ebb and flow of a relationship. I have a friend who I really love and we have a wonderful relationship, but our life just takes us in different directions sometimes. Like maybe last summer, I was seeing her like multiple times a week. We were on a volleyball team together. She was studying for the MCAT, so she was at coffee shops studying all the time, and I like to go work at coffee shops, so I would just go hang out with her there. We just were in a similar phase for a while, and so we saw each other all the time, and it was awesome. And now I haven't probably seen her in like a month or two. We haven't really talked. I don't really think that's that we've grown apart. It's just where life is right now. But I know that there's a lot of care, there's a lot of respect, there's a lot of love between the two of us. So I'm sure when life shifts again, or if I maybe put some more effort into the relationship to prioritize it, like will still have a good connection there. And that's a big part of adult relationships and friendships. It's like that's what they're going to look like most of the time. Certain people at certain times in your life will align more, and you will see them more, or you will feel closer, and then it'll switch again. Doesn't mean that those people are not important or that you've grown apart. I think that's just kind of how things go. Life is busy. And also, like, what do they think? What does your friend think? Like, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. I know that people don't like to do this, but, have a conversation about it. Like, hey, I've noticed that things feel different. Does it feel different to you? Like, why do you think that is? I don't know. And I've got other episodes in the past too, from like how to have these hard conversations, and not even that it has to be a hard conversation, but like how to communicate things more directly. But it's like, yeah, you don't have to know when this person is asking, like, how do you tell if it's just a phase or if you've actually grown apart? It's like, ask them too. Consult your own feelings, consult theirs. It's a two-way street. So you might find something interesting about that. And I just had to throw it in there just because. So anyway, I hope this helped answer the question. If you were, as a listener, relating to this question as well, let me know if this helped you. If you have follow-up questions, find me over on TikTok or Instagram. You can just kind of comment on one of my recent posts or send me a DM, and I'll try to get back to you in a timely manner. And if you have a real full-fledged, you think it could be a whole episode kind of question, reach out to me. evergreenrx@gmail.com or 512-655-9888. Even if it's a smaller question, I like to do mini doses from time to time when they're all kind of centered around the same topic, like friendships. And so I would love to hear from you, and follow along so you don't miss an episode. I'll be back here next Wednesday for the last episode of season 5 and my 99th. So I'm excited about that. I think it'll be a good one, getting a little bit personal, sharing, letting you guys in on where I am at in my healing journey, talking about insecurity, resiliency, having, faith in yourself to do the things that you want to in your life with more confidence and less anxiety. I think it'll be a good one, and I'll catch you then.